Okay, so this was someone I watched on Friday. So this is someone called M*birkholz. And this video is called Sex Critical, Erasing the Exception. So I watched a different video by this person, and they mentioned they had a video like showing why sex isn't binary somewhere else. And I like a challenge, so I'm gonna see if sex isn't binary because this person said so. I'm keeping up my eternal optimist thing and going in open-minded against my better judgment. Anyway, let's see what this birkholz is talking about.
Oh, hi there. I'm
starting to think that these like large piles of books and stuff, is this a good thing they're reading all this, or is it not so much? I know I don't recognize many of these, but you can kind of guess probably what kind of thing it is. She's reading like Kropotkin, so nice.
that you were interested in facts and logic and biology and that kind of thing. This is the perfect place to be. We're going to be talking all about biology, facts, and reason and logic and all that wonderful stuff today. So get comfortable.
Hang on, we've got a content warning. It's
logic and all that wonderful stuff today. So get comfortable.
Very important. Video essay cliches. Oh, I can't wait. Extreme transphobia. That's what we're here for. I enjoy that. Genital mutilation. What speed are we on? I might do 1.5 because this is quite a long one. It's almost half an hour, and the one that I watched before was a bit of a slog. I'll put it that way. Anyway, you've all been warned. You're not going to be harmed by internet words or whatever. So there you go.
Save our children! Save our children!
So let's talk about sex. And not sex as in like fucking. I've already beat that subject to orgasm far enough already on this channel. I'm talking about the XYs and the XXs. And the XXYs and the XYYs and the XXXs and the XXYYs and the XXXYYs and the XXXXs and the XXXYs and the XXXXX. Fuck. So what actually constitutes biological sex? Well, the Oxford Languages Dictionary
Yeah, it's, you know, you have to be able to figure out your own mind if you want to understand anything. I don't know. The problem is, if you can figure out your own mind, people are still going to tell you how you think and how you believe anyway. So I don't know. It's a bit hypocritical in my opinion that it's that anti-gatekeeping squad supposedly that are so big on telling people how they think. But I don't know. Another thing I've noticed is that a lot of these non-binary types who don't believe in gender binary or sex binary believe in a heck of a lot of other binaries, such as pro-trans and anti-trans and left-wing and right-wing and Nazis and whatever. I don't know. Yeah, birkholz. I wasn't blown away by the first video.
describe sex as either of the two main categories, male and female, into which humans and most other living things are divided on the basis of their reproductive functions. Now, this definition isn't particularly scientific. The actual complexities of sex are
Why isn't it scientific?
insane. So if you want a very in-depth definition on sex made by an actual biologist, I highly recommend watching this video. That'll go more into the complexities of
We're not watching this, don't worry. Subscribe at Renegade Science Teacher. Yikes. Maybe we should be sexed by presence or lack of prostate. The person that was on earlier is a MTF, I think? I'm not sure. They just get all pronouns because... Oh, okay, no, I get you now. It's possible. I mean, wouldn't surprise me if they're making a wonky video about sex, which, to be fair, I've not watched. I'll have a quick look. D&D, yeah, sure, I don't care about that. Tucker Carlson is wrong about some things. This person's on the left at the very least. How full of crap can a person... Oh, that's, something else. This doesn't seem like super political most of the time. It's just kind of the odd thing. Big hands. I don't know. Let's get like a little bit of how he talks.
Ovarian tissue on one side and testicular tissue on the other side of the same organ.
He sounds bio to me. I don't know. Maybe I'll watch that someday and finally understand that I was completely wrong and fucking sex isn't binary and I was just spawned out of thin air or something. He's a good foil. He still has the part. Yeah, true. I mean, you don't really see him around anymore. Like, it seems like Fox was very much his platform, and without Fox, he hasn't done a huge amount. But
in this video, that'll go more into the complexities of sex, like on a chromosomal cellular level, including fancy words like genomes and dimorphic. But in terms of the
yeah, well, wanting to obfuscate shit is kind of the playbook of like the queer, like, radical types. So, you know, if he's being supported by this person, it wouldn't surprise me if it's like that. But again, you know, I have to be honest and say I haven't actually watched that video. But yeah, I'll have to watch at some point because, yeah. Fair enough. Listen, I really hate people like Piers Morgan because I think that he does the fake centrist thing where he somehow always lands on the right, even though he's a fake centrist. But like, he is a pretty amazing shit stirrer. Like, I'm not going to take that away from him.
Observable characteristics that we fembos commonly associate with sex above the cellular chromosomal level. Sex characteristics include genitals, nose size, cheek fat.
Above the cellular, hang on.
Words like genomes and dimorphic. But in terms of the observable characteristics that we fembos commonly associate with sex above the cellular chromosomal level, sex characteristics include genitals, nose size, cheek fat, forehead size, brow ridge and position, hairline, lip size and position, chin and jaw size and position, bone size and structure, height, fat distribution, hip size, muscle size and development, libido, mood and personality, breast size, body and facial hair growth and placement, skin softness, Adam apples, and voices. And that's
Is this the kind of thing that, I mean, any one of those things you could like be like, oh, you're reducing women to this, but I don't know.
Breast size, body and facial hair growth and placement, skin softness, Adam apples, and voices. And that's not even all of the traits associated with sex. That's just a lot of the external, very observable, kind of like commonly known ones. There are other less easily observable things associated with sex, like brain structure. Sex characteristics are generally divided into primary and secondary traits. Primary being those that you're born with, and secondary being those that you develop through the process of puberty. The human race is generally seen as dimorphic, or having two sexes, wherein individuals born with XY chromosomes have a certain collection of primary and secondary sex characteristics, and those born with XX chromosomes have a widely different collection of primary and secondary sex characteristics. Now, unless you have undergone a brain scan and had your genes tested and analyzed by a genetic specialist, you probably have no idea what your chromosomes actually are, or all of the intricate details of your sex.
XY detected!
This was an actual tweet directed at me on Twitter. I'm often perceived to be an XY by the outside world, but the reality is I have no idea what my chromosomes are.
Oh, come on, you know what they probably are. Like, most DSDs are not common things, and you can only have some of them because you're male, so I don't know. Like this, oh, well, I don't know what chromosomes I technically have. Like, okay, you still have them. Most likely you're still that. So like, this is just pretending to be ignorant. Well, not even pretending to be ignorant, just kind of, I don't know. I'm not XY by technicality or something.
And transphobes are not, in fact, very cheap digital replacements of a genetic test. Y'all don't know what chromosomes I have, and neither do I. But chromosomes aren't the only difficult to observe aspects of sex. I mentioned brain structure earlier, and that can...
Yeah, so there's only certain ones that this person would be able to have. You can say what you most likely have, right? Like, I can say most likely I have male chromosomes. I have XY, you know, the normal ones. Because no one's ever told me any differently. I've never been told I have anything wrong with me specifically to do with, like, my sex. And I've had my shit rearranged down there. I think they would have noticed if there was something. So I can reasonably intuit that I'm an XY, you know? I would like to think if this person was being honest, they probably would actually say that. But they have a reason not to, so... this is quite a long... The first part is called No Sex Isn't Binary. You can't be a trans woman without being a bio-male. True, yeah.
Also very wildly in trans and queer individuals.
I mean, hey, that's the difference between trans men and trans women and women, is like, women were born female, trans women were born male. They try and take on certain, like, characteristics and be referred to as a female, but you're still a male, ultimately.
Often unrelated to chromosomes. So for example, trans men and trans women would generally have the associated brain structure as the gender they identify as, even without undergoing hormone replacement therapy.
Oh, I don't know how true this even is. Like, there's a lot of, like, these brain, like, studies. They're actually often touted by what we'd call trans medicalists or true scums. Like, they're often touted as, like, showing that, like, trans people have kind of their own brains separate to, like, men or women. But a major criticism is that people's brains vary so much anyway. that it's very hard to really determine that or use that for a whole lot of anything. So yeah, I don't think this is true at all.
But they may generally have the associated brain structure as the gender they identify as, even without.
So what this person is suggesting, yeah, is that like I have a female structured brain. Like, I mean, I never had my fucking brain scanned, so this obviously isn't part of any like trans healthcare. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that information.
Sex. I mentioned brain structure earlier, and that can also vary wildly in trans and queer individuals, often.
Well, it just varies wildly anyway. What does the trans and queer individuals have to do with it? We're all humans.
Unrelated to chromosomes. So for example, trans men and trans women would generally have the associated brain structure as the gender they identify as, even without undergoing hormone replacement therapy.
Okay, so this is a major first point, and this is bunk. Okay, let's see if they've got anything else.
But they may still have the chromosomes of the gender that they were.
The person's been on cross-sex hormones for decades, their brain might be different. Yeah, of course, yeah. But I mean, he was saying even before taking hormones or whatever. So like, yeah, I don't know. First off, that's I feel like that's the first claim he's made, like major claim, and it's rubbish. And that's the thing, he got that from that video. So that's great. That's not much of a shining endorsement for that what the fuck? Forrest Valkai guy. But hey, I'll probably still watch the video, and it's in my own time, you know.
Assigned at birth. The reality is that most humans are born with an insanely complex conglomeration of sex traits, and those traits can often wildly diverge from traditional notions of what sex characteristics are meant to be.
Well, I mean, you've listed some examples, which, yeah, I mean, are those sexed or gendered traits? I'm not sure. I have to think more about that, but you've saying that with the example being brains, which is just not, there's just not the evidence that this person wants that to be for that. Matt Dillahunty. I don't know much about him. I should look him up.
In fact, most people will find themselves diverging from a strict sex binary with at least some of their secondary sex characteristics. Now, you might be wondering why I haven't brought up intersex people, and certainly intersex people are relevant to a conversation on how sex.
Wait, so that was it for that point? Like, there's lots of different sex characteristics that aren't your chromosomes. I mean, yeah, but there's like, it's what they're saying about primary and secondary. I don't know.
Isn't binary. And the main reason I haven't brought them up so far is because of this. Certainly, intersex people are relevant to a conversation on how sex isn't binary.
I guess they would be, but I already know why it is and why it's bullshit. So I don't know. I'll hear them out, and then, you know, I'm thinking maybe they'll have at least one point. Like, I don't know. Dillahunty is an atheist, trans chaser, and prostitute. Oh, Jesus Christ. I would not want to be within fucking a square mile of a person like that. I'll have to look him up.
And the main reason I haven't brought them up so far is because of this. Hi, my name's Maddie Nigmerica, and my pronouns are attack helicopter. It's basic human biology, really. I mean, God made man, and he made man servant. The human species is sexually dimorphic.
Men for Women's Rights asks, do intersex people prove sex isn't binary? I don't know what the fuck this is all about or what they're saying. I'm guessing this is Blair White because long brown hair, makeup. Trans people with anger problems. That sounds like almost every trans person, especially trans women.
And rare genetic anomalies don't disprove that. I'm sorry if you want to identify as an.
Do they not think this just automatically looks like bad faith as fuck? Like they're not actually portraying anyone's actual position. I don't know.
Genetic anomalies don't disprove that. I'm sorry if you want to identify as an alien freak, but facts don't actually up so far is because of this. It's basic human biology. Hi, my name's Maddie Nigmerica, and my pronouns are attack helicopter.
A lot of atheists are pissed because Matt's replaced Christianity with gender faith shit. That makes sense. I mean, it is practically a bizarro religion, right?
It's basic human biology, really. I mean, God made man, and he made man servant. The human species is sexually dimorphic, and rare genetic anomalies don't disprove that. I'm sorry if you want to identify as an alien freak, but facts don't care about your feelings. I'm actually.
So she hasn't actually made any points as not Blair here.
Something of a biologist myself. I once had a conservative.
Yeah, so that wasn't even remotely an actual argument as to why intersex doesn't disprove the binary. But okay.
Say to me, you wouldn't say that humans have 6 toes just because some people have 6 toes. And I wanted to respond with no, of course not. What a silly false equivalence logical fallacy. 0.001% of the population are born with extra digits, whereas over 2% of the human population are born neither male nor female in terms of physical factual. 0.001% of the population are born with extra digits, whereas over 2% of the human population are born neither male nor female in terms of physical, factual, biological sex. But
that's just completely untrue. That's just bunk. Absolutely no fucking... absolutely no evidence for that whatsoever. You're just assuming that intersex must be another sex, which... let's see some evidence of that. Because this is supposed to be your video on gender, or sex, rather. Oh yeah, PCOS, yeah. People always talk about PCOS when it's like... when it comes up with like... when it comes up to the intersex stuff in sports, they always talk about PCOS and why trans people should be able to compete because PCOS women have higher T. Isn't PCOS caused generally by like things like trauma and stuff rather than any kind of genetic thing? With Max with PCOS or puck facial. Yeah. I think I've known a few people with it as well.
really, what I would say is that, yes, some humans do have extra digits. And actually, quite a few humans are intersex. There are as many humans who are intersex that there are humans who have green.
Yeah, that's the thing. People use it as an excuse for like trans people to be in sports when it's like, well, the huge difference there is like, what am I trying to say? The huge difference there is that they're born female, not male. You're talking about males in the female category, so it's useless. Okay, I could be wrong. I think it was that I read about had like very, very overly environmental like causes as opposed to physical ones. Yeah.
Eyes. I have green eyes. You wouldn't say, however, that I'm a genetic anomaly. You would say that some humans have green eyes. And that isn't even a false equivalence logical fallacy. That's almost perfectly analogous. Now I'm going to talk more about the intersex.
Well, the problem is your entire premise is broken because you're calling intersex people neither male nor female, so...
community in part 2 of this video, but I don't even need the intersex community in my argument to prove that sex isn't binary. All I need is a cisgender community and the billion-pound plastic surgery industry, which frequently offers gender-affirming services to cisgender people who also find themselves desperately...
What's that got to do with the gender binary? I can't be asked to keep going back. Like, this video is just pure misinformation. Like, we're congratulating ourselves on proving something based on a completely flawed and broken definition of something, so this is like useless. Oh yeah, I know some stuff about PCOS. I need to read about it again, to be fair. Considering all the medications and procedures required to be trans, do you think trans people would swap them all for one pill that makes them happy with the sex they were assigned at birth? Probably some would and some wouldn't, I'm not sure. Like, I mean, I don't know what I would have been like. Maybe I would have still wanted to go through with it. And I don't know, like, retroactively, I definitely wouldn't, just because where my life is at, like, I'm pretty okay with it, honestly.
Attempting to alter their sex characteristics to be better at their assigned sex. Men are regularly born with gynecomastia or breast development, and women are regularly born with traditional male patterned hair development. And a lot of
how many of these men with gynecomastia are overweight?
These folks aren't even labeled as intersex. We're just talking about cisgender people who deviate somewhat from
oh my god. That's crazy.
Assigned gendered expectations. If you're a girl and you're tall, congratulations, but you're failing at your assigned biological sex. But also, you know, call me. If you're a man and you have long eyelashes and hips, sorry pal, but you're really doing the whole male sex thing incorrectly. Every gender has nipples, but some are seen as male or female based on pretty much no...
Yeah, actually that's the point. Like, why would they be born with gynecomastia? I don't know. This video is breaking my brain because I've pretty much stopped listening because the first two major points they made were complete bunk. And the second one was literally just stating something that's not true and saying you've proved something that you haven't. And saying that your analogy is better than someone else's analogy, which there's kind of a bias here. Would you not accept, you know? Oh, this is dire.
No actual science. Both men and women are born with mammary glands capable of producing milk. Even looking at genital makeup in terms of nerve endings and components involved, they're almost identical. Now, nobody would tell a cis woman with facial hair that she's not a
yeah, maybe that's how they think gender is assigned. There's like 3 shells, just
real woman. But the moment trans women have a single hair left untouched by hair removal, it's a sure sign that they are, indeed, just men, and they always will be. Many cisgender individuals will undergo extensive surgical and non-surgical procedures to change their sex characteristic to be more in line with traditional societal notions of how their sex should manifest. And generally speaking, society doesn't have any problem with this as long as the individuals involved identify with the gender that they were assigned at birth. If you're a man with larger than average
Trilk is a mixture of sebum and liquefied dead skin. Oh my god. Was it you that left the comment on that Naomi video? Because that's pretty much what I know her for as well. Like, I'm going to be honest, I don't know how much of a problem I have with it, just because it sounds like it probably is the same substance. But it is, like, strange. Like, I don't know how much we need to, like, actually try and replace women. So, I don't know. But yeah, that was funny, so I appreciate that.
For men breasts, society's like, no problem, dude, we'll take care of those for you for free. But if you're assigned female at birth and you want the same thing, society's like, go fuck yourself. So no, sex...
Well, yeah, because you might use them to feed your child one day. Oh my god, I don't know how much of this I'm gonna watch. I assumed I'd watch all of it, because I watched all of the last video and it was pretty dire. We've got costume changes, it's all very, ContraPoints. Even change the color of our hair there, because that's what makes you interesting, is changing the color of your hair a lot.
Isn't binary, and it isn't binary for any of us, intersex or otherwise. But now here's another question. Is it changeable? And I mean, yeah. If you're truly interested in engaging with the realities of science and biology in good faith, then you have to acknowledge that sex is, at least to a certain degree, changeable. Amongst the sex changes I mentioned earlier, genitals, nose size, cheek fat, hairline, lip size, height, fat distribution...
I'm gonna be honest, with Naomi, like, really all I've seen, I watched some of the Progressive Victory videos when they were doing the canvassing stuff for Jamal Bowman. So I saw her talking to Vosh and, like, whining about transphobes, because that's what all of us that aren't me do, I guess. I've watched her debate a couple of people, and it's very, there seems to be this, like, second generation, like, Vosh cabal after the first one, which was, like, Xander Hal, Demon Mama Keffels, Tipster, and all that kind of shit. And now it's, like, Naomi and Alec Gunter and, like, people like that. And they have this certain, like, debating style where they just kind of cut in constantly, and it's like, oh no, like, just constantly, like, trying to pick out these, like, tiny inconsistencies and, like, hypocrisies and stuff. It's like, it's insufferable.
Hip size, muscle size and development, libido, mood and personality, breast size, body and facial hair growth and placement, voice size and skin softness are all changeable via undergoing hormone replacement therapy, or HRT. That means that combining testosterone-based and estrogen-based HRT, 71% of sex characteristics are modifiable and in some cases completely changeable via HRT, give or take a couple of percentages based on whether you're trans masc or trans femme. Now, with the sex characteristics remaining, all are modifiable via surgery apart from chromosomes, which is to say that according to this example, 95% of your primary and secondary sex characteristics can be completely changed via a combination of surgery and HRT. So yes, transphobes, there is some degree of your biological sex that is immutable and unable to be changed. And it happens to be the part of your sex that is invisible to absolutely fucking everyone and has pretty much no real relationship with how we engage with sex or gender in society. But yes, even though 95% of your sex can be changeable, that 5% of you will always truly be, probably, at least like a little bit connected to the sex you were assigned.
I have not been listening whatsoever. Is this person, like, actually saying anything of value?
Femme. Now, with the sex characteristics remaining, all are modified. Voice size and skin.
Like, how are we showing that skull size can be altered with hormones? How the fuck did someone reach that? Like, what happens if your skull shrinks and then starts squeezing your brain? That sounds terrifying. Who the fuck told you that? That's cooked. That's insane.
Free, but if you're assigned female procedures, if you're a man with larger than average for men.
We're talking about why sex is changeable. I mean, you can change parts of yourself. You get your tits chopped off, are you more male? Whereas if you're a male and you get one of your arms cut off because it got wounded and infected and shit, potentially, that doesn't change your sex.
Breasts, society's like, no problem, dude, we'll take care of those for you for free. But if you're assigned...
Yeah, exactly. No, it's actually true. This is why, like, most trans females, like, say the dumbest shit and, like, come out with all kinds of dumb takes constantly. It's because the HRT has, like, shrunk our brains, or not our brains, our skulls, to where it's, like, properly, like, compressing it in, and, like, there's just whole bits that are just not working anymore. I was lucky because my head was just really, really big. It was bigger than this even.
Female at birth and you want the same thing, society's like, go fuck yourself. So no, sex isn't binary, and it isn't binary for any of us, intersex or otherwise. But now here's another question. Is it changeable? And I mean, yeah. If you're truly interested in engaging with the realities of science and biology and...
Is it changeable? Yeah. God, this is like Poppy and Xena. Fuck, I know, I did a video on them. Like, Poppy was constantly like, is it something? No. Is it this? Yeah. Is it that? Yeah. You know, the question talking, it drove me insane.
Good faith, then you have to acknowledge that sex is, at least to a certain degree, changeable.
Oh, so it is changeable, and if I'm good faith, I will acknowledge that it's changeable. That isn't an argument. That's just, I'm right. And if you're good faith, you'll agree with me.
Amongst the sex changes I mentioned earlier, genitals, nose size, cheek fat, hairline, lip size, height, fat distribution, hip size, muscle size and development, libido, mood and personality, breast size, body and facial hair growth and placement, voice size and skin softness are all changeable via
That doesn't change, none of that changes your sex.
undergoing hormone replacement therapy, or HRT. That means that combining testosterone-based and estrogen-based HRT, 71% of sex characteristics are modifiable and in some cases completely changeable via HRT.
Yeah, characteristics that are generally, my cranium is lovely and feminine, not that I've met it. Oh, thank you, I appreciate that. What was I saying? Hang on.
71% of sex characteristics are modifiable.
Yeah, this is like, he's calling them sex characteristics. Are they sex characteristics or are they potentially gendered characteristics that you can change that might be altered by HRT? That doesn't make it, that doesn't mean that there's a number of what percentage of like sex changes. What am I even saying? This is so stupid. I can't even fucking, oh my god, what the fuck are you talking about, my guy? No, like this doesn't change your sex. Like your nose size changes. Does that mean you have a female nose now? What if you get a female with a large nose? Like what? Do you know what else affects your nose size? Getting older or drinking too much throughout your life. Like, fuck me. And that's just one example. Like, oh my god. And people are like, thank you for making this, Quinn. I've struggled for a while to articulate what you expressed. Great video. I like how you boiled down a lot of complex discussions about gender, sex, in a way that can be used to combat transphobes, but weren't too hyperbolic. It's complete bullshit. You're being fed bullshit. This person, it's hard for me to really conspiracy theorize about the gender cult and how so many of these people are like filling people's heads with shit because this person doesn't have a huge amount of subscribers. It's like, you know, almost 20k, which is a lot compared to someone like me, right? But there's a lot of bigger people in that regard. But then, you know, you have to show that it's like fucking everyone doing this shit. That's the other thing. So it's like, fuck. But yeah, I mean, if this was a bigger channel, that would be all you'd be hearing from me. So that's probably a good thing. It's really hard to engage with such disordered thinking. This is just taking trans as your solution. So whatever we come up with, it has to be something that's pro-trans. So now when we're looking at sex, we've got that goal in mind. So now we're redefining everything about sex to make it make sense to that, which is completely wrong. Like you just can't do that. And no amount of, you know what I mean? Like, no amount of, if you're in good faith, you will acknowledge that what I'm saying is true, will do anything for that. That's some nasty stuff. Yeah, I'm really sorry. I'm torturing people today. Motivated reason. Yeah, there we go. Exactly. Like, it's pretty transparent, but hey.
And in some cases completely changeable via HRT. Give or take a couple of percentages based on whether you're trans masc or trans femme. Now, with the sex characteristics remaining, all are modifiable via surgery apart from chromosomes, which is to say that according to this example, 95% of your primary and secondary sex characteristics can be completely changed by a combination of surgery and HRT. So yes, transphobes, there is some degree of your biological sex that is immutable and unable to be changed, and it happens to be the part of your sex that
Sorry, I couldn't listen to more of this video without leaving a comment highlighting some of the misinfo in here.
is invisible to absolutely fucking everyone, and has pretty much no real relationship with how we engage with sex or gender in society. But yes, even though 95% of your sex can be changeable, that 5% of you will always truly be, probably, at least, like, a little bit connected to the sex you were assigned at birth, but also—
This makes no fucking sense. Let's see the bit about intersex and then just do something else.
words matter.
There are not two sexes. There are n sexes. There are as many sexes as there are assemblages. And since each of us enters
Oh, a quote. Now we must be getting into something actually true.
into several assemblages, each of us has n sexes. When children discover that they are reduced to one sex, male or female, they discover their powerlessness. They lose the machinic sense and are left only with the signification of a tool. And then the child really does fall into depression. They have been damaged. Their countless sexes have been stolen.
What does that even mean? Monsteras. Yeah, you get them in like Animal Crossing. I learned what a lot of stuff is through Animal Crossing. I'm guessing that's a, oh, that's probably they do. To broadcast your sickness to the world is sick stuff. Well, aren't you kind of warning people about the sickness? Like, don't be like me. Like, oh my God. Do you know what I mean? I think that's what I'm doing personally. I don't know about this person. I think they're just lying to people to make them feel better, but...
The intersex definition is a person who is born with a combination of male and female biological traits.
That's their definition of intersex. Yeah, I know. I'm a really like terrible, cringeworthy person when I'm not streaming. Yeah, you get monstera plants in Animal Crossing. That's how I know what they are. Anyway, let's just hear what he fucking said again.
Definition is a person who is born with a combination of male and female biological traits. So let me...
I do have a girlfriend, yeah, who got me into Animal Crossing. I got a Switch during lockdown, and that's one of the games I got for it, and I just got really into it. I like deer, and you can have deer villages, so that's kind of all I need. So yeah, intersex is people who have a combination of male and female traits. That's not what intersex is. Appears to be nothing more than an animated stool sample. Fascinating. Sure, okay. Don't know what to do with that one, I'm afraid.
Let me get this straight. Intersex includes anybody with a combination of male and female biological traits. But as I mentioned in part 1, that's potentially quite a lot of us. Now I realize I'm starting
That's potentially quite a lot of us. Oh no, oh no. Oh, M star birkholz. M asterisk, masterisk. Can I call you masterisk? I don't want to, that's difficult to say, to be honest with you.
to sound a little bit like people who tell me, oh yeah, I'm also really into cleaning, when I mention that I'm OCD, and I'm like, no, Karen, you do not have the same medically diagnosed mental fucking illness as me. I don't want to...
This kind of person probably brings up their mental illnesses constantly, I'm sure.
Validate the lived experiences and oppression of intersex people, which, by the way, is fairly significant. Intersex individuals can fall victim to infanticide, abandonment, mutilation, and neglect. They are often labeled...
So can everyone else, just saying.
As individuals with birth defects or disorders which need to be fixed. Non-consensual surgeries of intersex people are still practiced today, which can include the removal of reproductive organs, alteration of external and internal genitalia, and subjection to prepubescent
Yeah, Amory is kind of a gay name, no offense.
hormonal therapy to force their bodies to develop in certain expected ways. Some people have also had their intersex status deliberately withheld from them by doctors and parents. As a result of these practices, intersex people can face a lifetime of dysphoria and medical problems. Some will be left with permanent damage to their bodies which make orgasm impossible just to conform to an aesthetically normal model of whichever sex their parents and doctors deem they should.
Do they understand that this can then also happen to like trans people? Because they're taking those kind of steps themselves. Because this is, some of this stuff that this person is saying is like word for word some of the stuff you hear when people talk about puberty blockers and like child transition and why they're against it. Jazz Jennings, yeah. I don't know too much about her. I watched a thing about her, but I'm not very good at paying attention. The thing I most remember was like the surgery going horribly wrong. Like there wasn't enough down there and stuff like that. I don't know, it's Jesus Christ, like, I don't know if we were talking about the kids stuff as much 2 years ago, but, like, if not, this is, like, very ironic to watch now.
Should be trying to fit into. Now, where have you heard genital mutilation and forced hormone therapy and an inability to orgasm before?
Unlikely that you have the mind to grasp actual reality. A glaring example of a distorted mind, bravo. Sure, I guess. I mean, I'm grasping what's going on in front of me. I can read what you're saying. That's reality, is it not? Have I not grasped reality by reading what you said?
Or, oh, that's right, you've heard it from transphobes. Transphobes love to misdescribe trans medical journeys as child abuse, genital mutilation, and they love to highlight things like inability to orgasm and changes to the
Oh my god, that's terrible.
Body that are permanent and medical. And these are mostly just wildly inaccurate descriptions of trans-related surgeries and medical journeys. Trans people can have orgasms and do have amazing sex lives, but it's interesting to see the comparison here. The intersex community...
Trans people have amazing sex lives. I don't doubt it. I don't need to hear about it though. The historical invention of the sex binary. So there's not going to be any facts in here really relating to actual sex. I can't be fucked with this anymore. We're going to move on. This video was terrible. It's just misinformation. All of the concepts are based on complete bullshit. One of the justifications for one of their points, which was you can change 70% or something of your sex characteristics. Literally, the justification is you can change your sex characteristics. If you're good faith, you will understand that you can change your physical sex characteristics. So there you go. This isn't good faith from me because this video is fucking bollocks.